Imagine, loud pop music is playing, the club is all lit up, and people are dancing away like they have no worries in the world. That's right, we're in the 70s, baby. The decade of fast developing cultures and a rapid increase in technology. Bill Gates formed Microsoft in 1974, Steve Jobs started Apple in 1975, worldwide phenomenon The Beatles disbanded in 1971, and most important of all, Star Wars released in theaters and eventually became a multi-billion-dollar franchise which would later be bought out by Disney. However, one soon-to-be recognized worldwide industry was beginning to take shape. An event that would pioneer a generation of entertainment and would have investment money estimated around $1.2 billion 40 years down the road. Dating all the way back to 1972, this is the story of what we now consider to be the world's first esports tournament. Back in the 70s, technology and entertainment were still getting to know each other. Phones, televisions, even microwaves weren't a common household product yet. People actually had to get out of their homes to socialize instead of using instant messaging apps that could connect you to your buds in a matter of seconds. You had to plan things in person ahead of time to actually host a gathering. With a wide variety of activities to do in the 70s, such as disco clubs, rollerblading rinks, and taking care of your pet rock, what about video games? Were there even video games to begin with? The answer is yes. The first ever video game was created in 1958 and was called Tennis for Two. The game was developed by American physicist William Higginbotham. Using a Donner Model 30 analog computer, Higginbotham was able to create a tennis-like video game that would be displayed on an oscilloscope and was playable for two people. The controllers didn't feature any X's, triangles, or an analog stick. It was simply one red button and a knob. Pressing the button hit the ball, and turning the knob directed the angle that the ball would go. The game was first shown and playable to the public on October 18, 1958, and was incredibly popular with high school kids. Since the 70s, not much has changed, as most pro esports players today are around that same age demographic.
Coincidence? I think not!
Higginbotham even stated later that, quote, "The high schoolers liked it best. You couldn't pull them away from it." So, was Tennis for Two the game that was played at the first ever esports tournament? No. How about Pong, a game that was also a tennis-like video game that came out in the same time period? Close, as Pong was released on the 29th of November, 1972, but no, it wasn't Pong either. The first esports tournament was played on Space War and was held at Stanford University, one of the most prestigious Ivy League schools in the world. Space War was a space combat video game developed by Steve Russell in 1962. It was developed for the DEC PDP-1 at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. The objective of the game is simple: kill your opponent before they kill you. On top of that, you have to avoid the sun that's right in the middle of the screen from blowing your spaceship up, and make sure you don't run out of torpedoes, otherwise you'll be unable to shoot your opponent and you'll be a sitting duck. You were balancing skill versus luck, and not only dealing with the threat of your opponents, but the threat of losing control and being slurped into the sun. That was a quote from Stuart Brand, formerly a writer and editor for Rolling Stone magazine. He had so much interest in the new game that he proposed to Rolling Stone that they host a tournament for the game, with the winner receiving a 1-year subscription to their magazine and bragging rights to become the intergalactic Space War champion of 1972. When Rolling Stone agreed to sponsor the event, a new competitive genre was born. Held in the Artificial Intelligence Laboratory at Stanford University, was the first ever esports tournament. The event wasn't attended by thousands of fans like you would see today. The room was packed with around 20 Stanford students. Among them was a grad student by the name of Bruce Baumgart. Bruce attended Stanford University as a grad student that partook in the growing computer sciences department. He'd received awards for his work on SailDart, an acronym for Stanford Artificial Intelligence Laboratory Dump and Restore Technique, that preserved documents and digital recordings of the Stanford Artificial Intelligence Lab in 2009. If you watch the gameplay for Space Wars, you could easily compare it to modern games today and find it boring as hell. Yet there were these highly educated students having the time of their lives with snacks, beer, and some space war. Bruce was eventually crowned the winner of the 5-player free-for-all and had his few seconds of fame, being on top of the space war world. And even after 42 years, he's still undefeated in the game. So where's Bruce Baumgart right now? Well, he's retired, but still very passionate about computer sciences. He recently attended a D-Web camp where he presented on many topics about storing online and hardware data. And what about Space War? You can actually play Space War on Steam right now. It's considered a hidden game, but it's super easy to play. All you have to do is type this on Windows Run, and it'll boot right up. Finally, how have competitive video games evolved since 1972? Well, the fact that you're watching this video right now probably says more than I ever could. This has been the story of the first documented esports event, which would eventually blossom into the billion-dollar industry that we all know today. And it all started with Space War, a handful of students at Stanford University, and a single tournament that would begin the revolution for the next generation of gamers.